You're live.
Hey, morning, guys.
1 second, I'm so sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Morning.
Go ahead.
All right. Good morning. Welcome to the 8th Annual Creative Career Fair, and thank you all for joining us for this interesting and important kickoff panel discussion. Today's panel is titled Internships: How to Get Them, How to Make the Most of Them, and Do We Even Really Need Them? We have three very accomplished interns with us today who have all worked for visual, media, and performing arts companies. We are so eager to let them share their knowledge and experience with each of you. And once they have spoken, we will welcome your questions via the chat. Please feel free to think through and share any questions you may have because they are an important part of this conversation. And I'll turn it over to Gabrielle.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle. I'm an internship for Inner City Arts, the Work of Art program. I just want to welcome our panelists today. I'm going to So, everyone, how are you guys doing this morning, first of all?
Oh, it's a good morning for you over here. Bit of a rough morning, but I'm here, and that's what's important.
All right, that's great. Okay, so I want everybody to introduce themselves, who you're currently working for, and what personal projects might you be working on. Anybody could go first.
I'll go ahead and go first. Hello, my name is Fabian Morales. I am an intern for the Los Angeles Theater Center. And we recently got finished filming a little film for our upcoming thing called La Encuentro. It's a show where multiple theaters in the area come together and we produce one big show with a combination of all of our own little shows. We recently got done with a small little award ceremony, but recently, and yes, we actually stopped filming recently. So one of the things that as an intern, my job is to specifically build the props, the sets, and fix the lights for the show. And one of the sad things is that when we're all done with it, all the equipment has to go away. So we recently had to, not the equipment, but, the sets, we had to destroy it. But that's really the beauty of the process. We build, and once it's over, it's over. And that's a bit of an insight, not as to what my internship is like.
Yeah, and I can jump in from there. Oh,
okay. I just said thank you. You're good to go.
So my name is Helen Anderson. I am an intern with Nickelodeon's Animation Community Efforts Department. And basically my day-to-day looks like creating social initiatives to do transformative good for students in K through 12. So sometimes it looks like mentorship, sometimes they look like intern panels, sometimes we're drawing with kids in hospitals. Speaking of sets, sometimes we're donating props, set walls, clothing that came from shows that are no longer happening, giving those to art program and theater programs. And I formerly interned with Viacom CBS Corporate Social Responsibility team, doing sort of similar work, but on a much grander scale, being as though it wasn't just focused on children. So yeah, that's pretty much what my day-to-day looks like.
That sounds amazing. So last but not least, Janiya, you want to go?
Hi, everyone. My name is Janiya. I'm a senior at Spelman College. I'm majoring in art history and minoring in curatorial studies, and I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm currently in Atlanta, and over the summer, I interned at David Kordansky Gallery with the sales team in Los Angeles. And I was able to work on PDF offers and work with clients. I also researched different auction results, and I added to their databases.
Okay, welcome everyone. Also, Ms. Meia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Meia Johnson. I'm actually part of the Los Angeles County Department of Arts and Culture's Arts Education Division, and I'm really focused on building creative career pathways for young people. And so we've done a lot of research about the landscape in Los Angeles County, really trying to figure out, where are the opportunities for young people within arts and culture and entertainment. But we also want to be able to provide more access for young people who have been underrepresented in these fields in the past. So I look forward to today's conversation, and I think it's really going to be a great one.
I agree. So is everybody ready to get started with the questions? Okay. All right, this is open to absolutely anybody. Whoever wants to go first. How did you get your internship?
I'll go ahead and go first. When it came to my internship, it was during the process of when I was looking for a job. Initially, I was just getting a job with an online marketing company. Super sketchy. I was wondering whether it was even a job or it was a scam. And I was going through the interview process, and I realized it was very boring. And that's when I got a call from my cousin and says, "Hey, I'm friends with the company and they're looking for an intern." And I was like, "Would you like to work?" And I said, "Sure, it beats this." And I go and I end up working for the Latino theater company. It was a bit of a process, but it ended up becoming very easy. The only requirement really was that I needed to be in college, which was something I was lacking. I didn't sign up for college, but hey, I'm in college now and I'm in the internship, two very good things. And and I've just been having a good time in my internship. It's actually been really fun now. And I'm really thankful for my cousin that I got to have this opportunity. And that's how I found my internship.
Well, it's amazing. It's great that you pulled through. Anybody else?
Yeah, so I got introduced to my internship in my sophomore year of college. I'm a fifth-year senior at the University of Pennsylvania. I concentrate in management. And when I got to Penn, I joined a student group in Wharton called STEP. And the STEP program stands for Successful Transition and Empowerment Program. And this program essentially exists for students coming in from underserved, marginalized communities that sort of need a heads up, a leg up on their college journey before they get there. So before your freshman year start, you show up about 2 weeks early, go through a bunch of like training and briefings and stuff like that, again, just to get you acquainted with the student life that you're going to go through. That following summer, that student group ended up taking us out to New York to visit a bunch of different companies. And the first place we went to was Viacom CBS, and we got to hear from a bunch of Penn alumni, one of which who was Scott Mills, the president over at BET. And I pretty much just really enjoyed from the testimonies I heard, the work environment, the culture fit, and really just me also having a knack for wanting to be in the entertainment and media space. So after that visit, I spent about a year just proactively trying to make as many connections as I can to Viacom. And this was before I was even able to apply for an internship position the following summer. So I talked to recruiters. I gave my resume to recruiters who were coming onto campus. Anytime they were doing an info session, I did that. I connected with alumni on LinkedIn. I connected with the manager who I would have in the future on LinkedIn. And again, all of this was really like a year-long process before I even applied for the internship. And then that was like another process of like maybe 6 or 7 months. So it really took a lot of patience and commitment. And I heard a lot of no's from a bunch of other internships that I applied to. There were internships I applied to that I didn't even hear back from. So I really just had to stay the course and stay, again, proactively chasing something that I knew I wanted to do. So I ended up getting the internship with the corporate social responsibility team. And we ended up doing a lot of work with the community efforts team over here at Nickelodeon, which is how I made that connection. So after I spent about 3 internships with the CSR team, my manager connected me to Carson Smith, who's now my manager over at Nickelodeon. And it kind of just made sense for what I've been doing with that team and where I want my career to go. So this summer, I started working with Nickelodeon Animations, and I'm now interning again with them for this fall.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think it's so
Really
cool
awesome.
that you just never gave up and you just kept going at it. Like that's so cool.
Thank you.
Janiya?
So I learned about my internship opportunity through my school's program, the AUC Art Collective. And the AUC Art Collective, it's for Spelman, Morehouse, and Clark Atlanta students who are interested in the visual arts. So through my internship process, I had to submit a personal statement, a resume. I also went to our career and internship fair where David Kordansky Gallery, they were hosting there at our fair. And I just worked with my school and my application to make sure I could get in, and I got the interview.
Oh, also, I just wanted to add this. Why do you guys think you got your internships? Like, what do you think helped you get accepted?
I'll start. I believe for sure, I think going to the virtual career fair and internship fair, which I know that virtual options are still happening for internship and career fairs. I went there, I answered and asked questions, and I also made sure I got their contact information. And I did a lot of research on this gallery. And I think that really helped. And as I was shaping my personal statement and as I was forming my resume as well, I really understood where they were trying to go moving forward and the bigger picture of where the gallery can look like.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I can just piggyback off that, and I agree with everything said. And again, in a sort of similar vein, just being very proactive, making sure again you're doing your research, knowing the company, knowing when, and well, knowing how you can add benefit to that company, knowing how that company can benefit you, like really aiming to like do really well on the touch points you have with the company that you're trying to interview and get a position for. So again, whether it was going to informationals, whether it was going to, one-on-one with recruiters, connecting with people online, I think all of that sort of paints a picture before you even get to an interview, before, your resume even comes across a recruiter's lap. And the more effort you can put in, the more, again, you can sort of be straight and direct with your intentions and have that be known, and sort of balance that with your strengths of what you do well and what you're trying to pursue as a career. I think all of that sort of helped played into me getting my internship. But also, again, the big connections help. So like whether that be to my school, whether that be to the alumni who worked at Viacom, whether that be to, again, the people who are coming on campus to speak from Viacom. Once you make those connections, they are a huge factor in leverage into helping you go to the next level. So.
I absolutely agree that connections are the big thing to get into internship. Because as I said, I was applying for another job already, and all of a sudden I get a call from my cousin and said, "Hey, this company wants an intern." And next thing you know, I sign up and I got in really easy. Actually, I just had to show them that I was registered for college. And then next thing you know, I was in the job. It honestly felt a bit too easy. I've applied to Wingstop. I've applied to McDonald's. It felt easier getting this internship just because I had relations with my cousin. And, as you said, you applied up for many internships. There's always going to be these places that everyone wants to go to. I imagine a lot of people sign up for yours as well. Nickelodeon, who wouldn't want to work there? That sounds amazing. And, but I imagine it's high things. A lot of people are going to be aiming for the same interns, but there's also going to be companies that are still looking for an intern. My company was coming really close to the deadline to where they need to have an internship. And I was, and I fit the deadline, and I got in, and the rest is history. I'm here now.
I would also like to add that I think when writing for the application, also speaking to people at whatever internship site you're at, it's important to note how you can benefit them and how they can benefit you with whatever you are trying to do in your career field. I think oftentimes when starting off in internship applications, people kind of just write about the internship or what the company does or what they might like about it, but not necessarily how they can contribute to the future of the company, and also how the gallery or whatever internship site can contribute to the future of yourself as well.
Yeah, because it's all about what you can do for them and what they can do for you. I get it, yeah. All right, Meia, you want to move us on?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm just listening to all this great information, and it makes me wonder, do you think that internships are valuable, and why was my question, but it sounds like you guys have a lot more to add to what you're saying. So I think we could just focus on, really what makes it valuable. Why do an internship versus a job right out the gate, like Fabian was saying?
Go ahead, Fabian.
All right, thank you. Is really internships are absolutely valuable, and as Harold and I were saying, connections, they help you get in. Initially, like, let's be honest here, you don't need a connection to go into a McDonald's. You don't. But there's always going to be these higher jobs, some jobs, a lot of people are looking into career paths, or many others want to go in as well. When it comes to getting these bigger careers, there's always going to be competition. Internships is an access, it's a pathway to get these connections, because when it comes to internships, they're reaching out to try to get to you. And, you're trying to reach for each other. Once you're in, you're going to meet all these people, you're going to get all these skills, and then you're going to have these connections. And, when you get these skills, they're going to know, hey, this person's good. It's like, I know I can trust them already. And they're going to, if anything, they're going to look out for you when it's no longer an internship and it's an actual career job. So that is especially why internships are most definitely valuable. And it's something you should really consider.
Awesome. What about you, Harold?
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. And I'll add that I think internships are a perfect example for young professionals of something that I think balances really well commitment and risk. Like coming, even for students in high school that are looking for internships, college students, you're not really in a position in your life where you can handle a full-time job. So for you to begin to curate experience and to, again, as Fabian said, make those connections, get a chance to go work at a company that you may end up not liking once you get there. And again, not having that long-time commitment of it being a full-time job, but then also, again, it helps you build your resume. It helps you, again, get that experience, because there's also the flip side of, the expectation of being an intern from a company's perspective. You're there to soak up as much knowledge as you can. You're there to get that firsthand experience, and you're there to really see if this is somewhere you can build your career at. And I think getting internships will help you a lot more than I think, again, not having them, because those are a lot of the things that other companies are looking for when they look at your resume. Is where have you spent time? Where have you been learning and growing and things of that nature? And having that under your belt is a huge signifier to other companies that you may be a candidate that they want. So they're definitely viable in that aspect. And again, I think just trying to, as a young professional, find your way in this world. I think the internships are a great way, like a trial and error kind of thing before you have to do it for the real deal.
Absolutely. Great advice, Harold. What about you, Janiya?
Yeah, I think outside of the advice that was given, I would just add, outside of if you enjoy the internship or if you don't enjoy the internship, you are still building and gaining skills and understanding of whatever your career interests may be. And that in itself is kind of a toolbox and a toolkit to help your career. So that's why I would say they're valuable outside of the actual experience that you're getting. You can also use those skills somewhere else in the future.
Awesome. Absolutely. So I think you also answered the question, internships, do we need them? Oh, yeah. All right, Gabrielle, you want to pick up the next set of questions?
Of course. Okay. So I'm sorry. What were some of your guys' responsibilities in these internships?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
What were some of you guys' responsibilities in these internships?
Okay. Oh, would you like to go first, Harold?
Yeah, I can go first. And I'll talk about, what I've really been up to during this summer and the start of this fall. And again, I think a lot of my time as well, there's half of the internship, which is like, doing things with your interns. We have a bunch of intern classes where, we have our campus to career team put together a bunch of events that showcase different parts of the animation world that you may not be a part of. So we may have an executive come speak to us. We may have a storyboard artist come speak to us. Again, a couple of weeks ago, we had the creators of Avatar, Mike and Brian, come speak to us. So we have a bunch of intern classes like that. And then also you spend a chunk of your time doing informational. So just connecting with people in your department, outside of your department, across the company, to get to know people, to align with people you have similar values and stuff with. And then with my team, who's literally just me and my manager, again, we do social initiatives that create transformative good for students. So a big chunk of that is our Let's Draw initiative, which is us partnering with a nonprofit called the Lollipop Theater, which some of you may have heard of, that brings entertainment options to children recovering in hospitals. So we get on Zoom with them, we bring our artists, and they draw with them for an hour every Thursday. We do a Spanish version of that on Tuesday called Vamos a Dibujar. And then we also do a bunch of mentorship programs. So that typically looks like week-long classes of, CG, 2D, animation, writing, pitching, scripts, executive talk, intern panels that we do with our community partners. So we've done a bunch with the LAUSD. We've done one this summer with the California Department of Education. We've done one with a school in Winnipeg, Canada, that was like 80% women and Filipino. We just got done doing a mentorship program with the school in Dakar, Senegal, which has really been the blessing of me joining at a time where we're in a pandemic and I can work from Philadelphia and still be able to create this reach really across the world, and to be able to do grassroots initiatives in the LA community, in the surrounding communities, and again, really worldwide. So that's pretty much what I do. I create good for children pretty much all day, and sort of to the point of creating these different pathways for people who come from communities like mine, finding different ways for us to reinvent what Nickelodeon and entertainment looks like overall. And that starts with going to get the talent that we've been historically ignoring and finding different ways for them to get there, for people who don't have access to college to get here, for people who don't have, the resources to have connections to family members, to things like that. So yeah, that's my responsibilities in a nutshell.
So awesome. Thanks for sharing, Harold.
That's amazing. Yeah. Anybody else?
When it comes to responsibilities, it really came down to, just like college, time management. That was easily became my biggest responsibility, my biggest task. Initially, I started this job like the last month of summer, and I've been going since. My internship will actually end by November 12th, 6 days after my birthday. Woo! But no, it really was a big task. Initially, it was like, okay, come in at 10:30, and I'd probably stop working around 4, maybe 6. And then college came by, and then it said, okay, now you're gonna come in immediately after college, and you're gonna work here until like 6 to 7. And that became a grueling task. I'd wake up at 6 in the morning. I finished college by 3 and then by 2. And then I'd immediately get to work by 3. And then I end up at 6. And then it's an hour-long drive, not because of the distance, but because of traffic. And I end up getting home at 7. So I don't have as much time to do homework. I'm exhausted. Time management easily became one of my biggest, most grueling tasks. And I really just had to have this commitment to myself and just commitment, trusting the process, trusting myself. And again, now that I'm here, it's just evident that it works out. It really does work out. And I don't know if there's any viewers in here that are in high school, but that will be one of your biggest tasks, to manage yourself. Do not overwork yourself, but to manage yourself. And yeah, that's my biggest responsibility.
That's really good advice. What about considering your internship? What are some of the things that you did? Or do, I guess?
For the things I do, again, we're a live performing arts theater. And so when I came in, they're like, okay, and they taught me many different things. And that was, again, another part of my responsibility. Some things I would have to teach myself, because usually, during the summer, I'd go in, I'd kind of learn the things in the morning, and then I'd do it in the afternoon. College came, there was no morning to learn. So I'd go in, college, guess what, go to work. And on the weekends, I would have to study some of the things I had to do. For example, we have one big thing about live performing arts is, the light. We got to show who's acting. You can't have a dark room and just hear people talking unless that's what's going on. But, we had to learn to control the lights. I had to learn how to program the lights, and I had to learn how, specific light, how to move it, how to set it, how to do a pre-recording, which is surprising to me, because you can actually set lights so that it will move by itself, but you have to do everything on your own. I had to learn that on my own over the weekend because of the challenge that came with just time consumption. And so over the weekend, I would, watch YouTube videos, I would do research, and that it was actually a really fun process, just learning all these different aspects. When I came in, I didn't have too much knowledge of, how to build something. Within 2 weeks, they had me building tables, they had me building chairs, for sets. I was painting, and of course there's a general cleaning, but just the internships, it came with a lot of volume. Eventually I'll actually learn how to make costumes, which actually sounds very fun. Who doesn't want to make their own clothes, right? Buying clothes is expensive. I'll make my own. But the internship, unfortunately, will be ending soon, but I do have hopes of going back next year and learning even more, just adding to my resume, adding more to my skill set.
Took a lot of initiative to learn a new skill.
Janiya, you want to finish off this question?
Yes. So my responsibilities, I would say, for kind of the core of my work, I definitely I was on the sales team. So I worked in understanding pricing and creating an inventory for the different artworks and objects that the gallery has for each of their artists. I also worked with creating PDF offers for different clients and understanding how that works when you are dealing artwork. And I also kept track of different auction sales to report back to different people within the sales team. And on the other special occasions that I was able to experience a gallery opening, an exhibition opening. And at the exhibition opening, my responsibilities were basically just to mingle, enjoy, have a great time. But also within mingling, I was able to meet other artists and other collectors who are interested in that specific gallery's exhibition. I also was able to visit different artists in their artist studio, understand their artist practice, and understand how that could go into my own research. So those are some of my responsibilities.
Awesome. It's so interesting that you all learned so many new skills within your internships, but you are also self-teaching as well, right? So you're learning the skills, but you're also taking the initiative to learn more and be able to implement those skills right away. I wanted to ask this question. How do you think internships aid young people when looking for a job? How about we pick up with Fabian?
The way it aids young people picking a job is, experience. When my cousin called me and said, "Hey, do you want a job?" The truth was, I didn't know what job it was. All I heard was job. I needed a job. And, so I go in here and, initially I want to be a chef. That's what I'm taking. I'm taking culinary classes to be a chef. And I'm stepping into this field. Fun fact, in high school, throughout my 4 years, I'm actually a dancer. I was a dancer. And so working at a theater, when I found I was working at a live performing arts theater, I'm like, hey, this feels like home. Like it felt really good to actually work. Was it different? Yes, because I was no longer dancing, but I was the one who set up the lights for the dancers. I'd set up the audio for the dancers. I was on the other side this time. And again, it did feel comfortable, it felt like home. So, and now that I said that I want to be a chef, I still want to learn how to cook because I'm not trying to live off of instant noodles. I'm not. Okay. And and as I said, it felt home. I was so comfortable at the job. So I am considering, maybe taking a break from the culinary, or not taking a break, but, splitting up my classes so that I could work at the theater and I could still, choose what I love to do, to cook. And so that I can have a balance between both, because working at a theater is just so much fun. And there's just this range of skills that you could have. And there's many different things to do, actually. And there's very much still room for a chef there too. They have a stove, there's bartending, and as I said, there's the other aspects of the building, the costumes, building the sets, fixing the lights. And so when it comes to aiding young people looking for a job, just sign up for an internship. You never know if you're gonna hate it. If you hate it, leave. If you like it, stay. There's many different internships in many different fields. So you can just go ahead and see if you like it or not. And that's definitely how internships will aid young people. If they like it, they stay, they get connections, and they could just go on from there. Let the internship take them wherever.
Would anyone else like to add to what Fabian just shared? And thanks, Fabian. Great advice.
I can add, in terms of looking for a job, I would say that internships are helpful because it actually is a network. And it becomes a network when you start to realize that your supervisors or your boss, they are your supervisor or boss in that moment, but they also are real people who know other people that could lead to different opportunities. So just keep in mind, like, even though this is an internship right now, you never know where that can take you because these are real people. And understanding those real people can lead you to many different opportunities within your career.
Awesome. Harold, did you want to add to it as well?
Yeah, I would just add that on top of everything that's been said, it aids you in a way of, again, giving you that like trial and error run to really get your bearings down, get to really know who you are and understand yourself and understand what you're looking for. So again, a big thing for me was the cultural fit in the work environment, and having, my internships have just reconfirmed and realigned myself that this is somewhere that, again, within the culture experience, I feel validated, I feel supported, I feel as though I can bring my true self to work. And then within the work environment itself, I have a bunch of resources I can go to. I have a bunch of tools that are at my disposal to help my work be easier. The time commitment and the balance is a big thing that they stress to employees. So making sure that, you're not overworking yourself, you're not taking on too much, and you're really in the space where you can do your work well. And that motivates and makes everyone else feel good. And I was like, I can't be in anywhere else that doesn't make me feel this way. So again, I think internships really aid you in, again, giving you that first run of the mill. And even to the point of like just going through, getting a resume together, applying to places, writing cover letters, going through interviews. Like, you have to build that experience in order to get better at it and know what you need to do to get better at it. And a lot of people have anxiety over doing this stuff, which is human, and that's very normal. But then once they get through it that first time, it becomes so much more easier to do it the second time. So sort of like it aids you in helping to overcome that, build that courage up, be able to really, again, have that confidence to step out into the professional world, say, hey, this is me, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I want to do, and then know what you need to do to accomplish those things.
Great advice.
So I really wanted to ask, what do you guys think were some challenges that you experienced? Because you're talking and it just seems like that you all had to climb this hill to get up there. So I just wanted to know, like, what challenges did you experience and how did you overcome them?
I can start with that one. So for me, a challenge was I was the only Black intern at my gallery, and I also was the only intern at my gallery as well. But outside of that feeling of isolation at moments, I felt like it was a challenge for me in the work because I was not aware of the other artists in the gallery roster. I was only aware of the artists who identified as Black and their artwork that were about experiences of the African diaspora. So that was a challenge when I was doing research and I was writing and I was trying to find different things about their artists and their auction sales or how they're doing with different clients. I just really wasn't aware of the artwork, and that was a hindrance into me connecting with some of the work. But by the end of the internship, I have learned so much more about different art forms, different artworks, different artists, different movements and styles, and how we all can collect and relate to art. But it was definitely a challenge only being aware of kind of the Black artists and Black artwork and not really being aware of more traditional Western societal ideas of artwork.
Does anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, I think I can again speak to the challenges of I think as a young professional and as a young person in general, we are very we like to see results immediately, and when we don't see results immediately, we start to panic, we start to worry. And again, this whole process is just overlapped with needing so much patience and just to be poised, and again, knowing that you're going to see a bunch of no's before you see a yes, or you might go through a bunch of struggles, whether that be internal or external. Because again, I think so when I first applied for Viacom, I think I maybe put in about 15 or 16 applications. Probably heard back from about 10 of them. No one gave me an interview but Viacom. So as you can see, that can be very daunting on someone, especially of someone of color, of someone who may be a woman, who may be of the LGBTQ plus community, who historically have systems that disenfranchise our community in these spaces. So again, I really had to set my mentality of understanding that, one, the things that happen to me aren't a direct reflection of me and who I am. There's also just a bunch of other stuff going on at the other end that I don't know about. Again, people are human. So I had to not take those no's as personal and be like, hey, there's something wrong with me. But then again, too, understanding that this is just the landscape, and the landscape is competitive, and that there are 1,000 people just like you and not just like you, that are all equally as great trying to get into the same space. So again, it's like, it's sort of built that way for you to have that kind of experience. But then I think inside the work, challenges really for me come with, I think sort of just that same experience of understanding my identity as a Black man in the corporate world. When I first joined my Viacom team, I was their first male intern and their first Black intern. So I went through a lot of connecting with an older Black man who was on my team, really about, optics for us, and how us walking into that corporate space is a lot different for a white man walking into that corporate space, and the difference in the expectations that are put on us consciously and subconsciously by that corporate space. So it was a lot of, I think, me really just, again, coming into myself and understanding that, this comes with the space, and I have to be prepared to deal with that. And I have to ready myself to deal with, microaggressions that might come across me in this space that even I feel so comfortable in. So those challenges are definitely there. Stereotype threat, imposter phenomena, all those things are there. And I think that, again, if you can, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your career path, if you have a support network around you, if you have people that you can go to, whether or not they be in your company, but you need that community, because again, we're all human, and none of us are, have a strong defense against not experiencing the things that we go through. So you sort of, again, have to build your support around that to be able to help you go through these things, because the more you do it alone, the more detrimental those effects can be. And I think, again, once you see that you don't have to do it alone, then these things become so less daunting, especially in our heads, because I think, again, for people that look like me, our mentality can be our greatest foe sometimes. So.
Great advice. Great advice, Harold.
Thank you.
As a challenge, as I said before, time is all about a challenge. Time consumption, managing time is a challenge. But another challenge that I faced was like sometimes just feeling like I wasn't needed. And the truth was that sometimes I really wasn't. The company I work at, generally, and as I found out, most theaters, they usually hire freelancers instead, because to hire someone in general is too expensive. And that was something I found, because I'm an internship, I'm constantly working there. But as I was working, and this actually happened recently, or I'm just going and I call and it was like, oh, you don't need to come in today. It was like, no, do some research instead. And like, do this, just do research. So like, sometimes I just end up going home and do research. I'm like, no, I have this job, but they don't want me to work for them. One time I just came in general from my college. I just went in and they were recording a show. When they're recording a show, I'm not needed. My job was to, build the set, like program the lights before, like preset the lights and, and stuff like that. During the recording, I'm really not needed. My job was already done. And so easily, sometimes it'll feel like I'm just kind of being thrown away. But, that's not the truth. And this is the truth of being a freelancer. I didn't know what a freelancer was. And now that I know what a freelancer, I don't take any hard feelings anymore. And it was evident because, when we had this show, this award ceremony, I met 10 people. I met 10 new people. I was already working at the job for 3 months. And all of a sudden, I just see 10 other people. And then they're well respected by my boss. And they're talking with them like they've worked with them like all their lives or like for at least 10 years. And because they have, but I asked them like, who are you guys? Like, oh, we're freelancers. It's just like, if they need me, they'll call me and I'm just here. I work for the day and you probably won't see me until you need me again. Some of those people would only work once a week and all that. And so at the job, it was actually very easy to, kind of just feel alienated or thrown away. But, that wasn't the reality. It was just them trying to save money. And in reality, like, if I'm not needed, why work as well? There's not much for me to do anyways. So keep in mind that like companies, they will care for you. They do care for you. But if they say that, you're not needed for the day, it's simple. Don't take it as, oh, you're not needed. Take it as go home, take a break, go ahead and breathe. And that's something I very much needed as well, because on Fridays, I had a different college class where it started earlier. I would need to wake up at 5 a.m. instead of the usual 6 a.m. to get ready. And my classes would end at 4. I was tired, I was exhausted, and then I'd still do physical labor. I have to hold a ladder that's holding someone that's well over 200 pounds, drilling something. I am responsible for this man's life. It could get scary.
Right.
Very small situations get scary. I'm holding down a ladder and someone's, he's 6 foot tall and then he's on top of a ladder and, he's heavy. He's a heavy man, 6 foot tall. That's a heavy person right there. And he's well built, but, he's trusting me with all this and I have little sleep and I'm like already exhausted. That was very dangerous. And at the point I told him, I was like, get down. Like, I can't hold this ladder, get down. And I told someone, I was like, and I just told my boss, I was like, I'm done for the day. And then I was like, I'm tired. I cannot trust myself holding this person. And that could be a really like sad feeling saying like, oh, I can't help you. But you just got to learn to like treat yourself properly, like love yourself. And like, do not overwork yourself because moments like that will happen. So those were
words of wisdom. Those are absolute words of wisdom there. Thank you so much, panelists. It seems now that we're going to be transitioning to audience questions as they're coming in. Mm-hmm. And I just want to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to respond, but we have a few questions. So what we're going to do for this round is just basically say who would like to answer the question. More than one of you can definitely answer. More than one of you can definitely answer, but we'll shoot it out like that. So I think the first question is, how did you go about the processes of networking for your internships and gaining professional connections? That was the first question. And who'd like to answer that?
I can answer this question. I think my general tactic for going about networking and making professional connections is to try to make it as least transactional as possible. I think people make the concept of networking around what can I gain from this person, when I think the essence is really about seeking out your alignments within another human being and recognizing that other human being for who they are as well. And within combining them in your network, you add them as a tool, as a resource, but it's not necessarily just because I want X, Y, and Z from you. So if that's just the basis of why you're connecting with a person, then that's sort of already like a bad place to start. But again, you have to realize that that other person is also human as well. So the more you can make them feel as though, again, they can benefit you, you can benefit them, but also like, hey, I recognize that you may be a fan of this, or you may have went to this school, or we may come from the same city or something like that. So where, again, you're not just saying, hey, I want something from you. And again, it's not always, a X to Y kind of thing. These things take time. So there are a lot of people I met in my first internship that I'm just reconnecting with now, or just, finding maybe a project or an idea that I think they may be great for. And again, I may have not talked to them for a few internships, but I made that first connection and I made it being genuine and being a human. And that is what people are going to remember you for, that first impression. And again, if you can make them feel good, if you can recognize the human within them, and then find some alignment within the work you do, within where you want to go within your career, people are going to be so much more willing to give you their time, to connect you with other people, and to, again, really feel incentivized to go out of their way to help you.
Thank you so much, Harold. Did anyone else want to respond to that question before we move on to the next? Gabrielle, you want to pick up the next question?
Yes. Okay, so this one is for Janiya. Somebody asked, did your Los Angeles internship make you want to work in art galleries in the future?
It did. I did have interest. It expanded my interest in working in art galleries in the future. But it also, I had some hesitancies around working in art galleries in the future because I understand how exclusionary and elitist the art industry, the art gallery industry can be. But it definitely did expand my interest in working in galleries, and more so the conversation of like a New York gallery versus a Los Angeles gallery, or maybe recentering where we want to focus on artwork. So maybe placing a major gallery in the South is also something that expanded my mind when I was working at David Kordansky in Los Angeles. So yeah.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, so we have another question about what age do you think people should start looking for or start applying for internships? And that could be for all of you.
Well, I'll say this right now. Go as early as possible. I don't know how old my fellow interns are right here, but I am 17. I'm not even an adult yet. I'm in this internship. I'm in college. But here I am having this experience. And if I go into multiple internships, by the time I'm done with college, I'm going to have these different skill sets, these different ideas of different jobs I could take, different paths. Just take those internships as early as possible. It's a good experience, and you're going to be able to do so much more with them.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback and say the same thing. I think I'm 22, turning 23 later this year. But I think I had my first internship around like the same time, and I literally just got it based off a connection from a guy that I was working in the same nonprofit as, and he ended up connecting me to someone who works at Independence Blue Cross, which is a health insurance company. And when I was 17, I did an internship in actuarial science for Independence Blue Cross. I knew absolutely nothing about it, and it was terrible the whole time. But I made connections, and I learned something from the experience. But again, yeah, to Fabian's point, as soon as you can go in, again, comfortably within your bandwidth, within, the correct resources and stuff like that, start getting that experience as early as possible, because it's just going to continue to build your resume, build your strengths, build your experience. So.
Awesome. Okay. We'll move on to the next question, Gabrielle.
Sure. Okay, this will probably be the last question, and then we're gonna close to your final thoughts. So what do you guys hope for people to gain at this art fair?
Motivation to get an internship. It's as simple as that. This is all about internships. And after all the things we told you, all the great things we've had to tell you about internships, why not take one? It's, as we said, internships, it's not going to be a bad thing. If you go into an internship and says, never mind, I don't want to do this, guess what? You don't. You could just get that internship, say, I don't like it, leave. The door is going to be right there. And if you like it, then you get to stay. And so the internship in general, it's a win-win. Keep in mind that when jobs offering these internships, it's because they want you. They want a worker, So this is going to benefit them. It's going to benefit you. get an internship.
I would say, I was just gonna add, something to keep in mind when having an internship. It's really about your experience and understanding that you are building something with each internship, and you are taking this with you for that moment where you finally do have a place where it's like, okay, this is for sure what I'm interested in. You can take all those skills somewhere else. So like I said, even if it's not an internship you don't like, or even if you slightly have interest or you feel like you have no idea what you're doing at the internship, that's perfectly fine, because what you can pick up on, you can use that somewhere else.
Awesome. I think there was one question I wanted to get to right before we close, and that was someone asked, are any of you involved in giving back to your communities?
I can speak to this because I think the nature of my job sort of involves me giving back to the community. But I think it really started with me joining a nonprofit called Beat the Streets, which is a sports-based youth development program that partners wrestling with holistic support also outside the mat, which includes academic support, mentoring, tutoring, counseling, things of that nature. And I got involved in 7th grade as a wrestler and has since been a mentor, advocate. And I just recently founded a youth ambassador program that serves to connect our organization more closely to our student athletes and their families, giving more transparency about what we do as an organization, and to increase the advocacy of our student athletes, their families, and the community at large by providing them with resources, providing them with, again, free tools, community events that they can just come out to, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm always giving back.
That's what's up. Janiya or Fabian?
Yeah, I can. Okay, thanks. Yes, I have a very long history of giving back to my community. My first internship, which developed into a fellowship, was focused on community organizing and educational justice issues within public schools. Also, things such as school to prison pipelines, standardized testing, educational restorative justice policies, all those things. That's what I was focused on in high school. I also looked at sexual harassment and assault in schools. And now that I've transitioned into more of the visual arts for my college career, I've definitely been focused on archival work and also making sure that there's space for Black artists and Black gallery stealers and people who are interested in the visual arts as well. So yeah, community is at the center of what I do. And when it comes to arts and Black arts, I'm doing it for sure in a social justice lens.
So amazing. Fabian? And then we're going to go
back to giving back to the community. Oftentimes I'll just, help sweep the streets. Oftentimes, in my city, we'll often have events to just sweep up the streets, clean the streets or clean the schools. I always try my best to sign up for those. Really, that's not as much as I can do, but it's definitely the one thing that I would always like to put my effort in. I do have jobs on the weekends and all that, but I'll always give back to the community once I can.
Awesome. So that takes us to our time. Just want to thank you all. You've been amazing panelists. You've shared so much wisdom, and I really hope this reaches a multitude of young people to get this great information and advice. Gabrielle?
You guys are amazing. Just thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to be here. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. I'm sure everybody watching it is going to take away a lot from this. So thank you guys. And before we close, just real quick, is there anything that anybody wants to say to any young people who might be watching?
I just wanted to say thank you both, Meia and Gabrielle, for allowing me this space to share my life and share my experience. I'm always very grateful for when people allow me to do that. But to all the young folks watching, reach for the sky, man, and really again begin to build those connections, because young people feel as though they are limitless, and we are, as humans, and I think as we grow older, we kind of impose our limits on ourselves. So let it start here. Take everything that you learned, soak it in, and literally like go to work tomorrow. And you have me as a resource now. You have these panelists, these wonderful people who put this career fair together. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on social media. Just look up Helen Anderson. Find me. I'm always willing to talk and chat with people offline. If you have 30 minutes or literally anything, I'm here and I'm a part of your network and resource now. So I'm telling you to use it. So please do it.
I would say for my final words, research is your best friend. Please do research, whether you're applying, whether you're in the whether you're in the internship or after you finish the internship, do research with anything you do. It helps in the future.
And Fabian, any final words?
Keep it as short as possible. Just do it. Just go for it. Reach for it. Shoot for the sky, reach for the stars. Go for it.
Awesome. You guys are amazing. And on behalf of Inner City Arts and the Creative Career Fair, thank you all for joining us today. And thank you for your questions. And we hope you all have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you. You as well.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Wait, stay for 5 minutes. I wanted to congratulate you all for doing such an incredible job. I'm also like multitasking and waiting for the 15-minute lag or 15-second lag.
Okay.
Or to end the stream. Okay, I think there it is. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Good day.
Yeah.